Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now.
Looks like I don't know if another person just joined.
It could have been through the extent. Oh, Chi joined.
Hi there, how's it going?
He can join anything. It could be a private hangout.
Hey.
So Chi, I was just saying, I'm broadcast. I don't think I'm going to record this, even though there's a question of how easily that can be done. I guess it's set to private in YouTube, so it could potentially be clip beginning and end. The only thing that...
Did you hit broadcast already?
Yes, it's broadcasting.
Then you're recording.
Okay, so it will go private on my YouTube account, correct?
That's right, that's correct.
Okay, so then if I don't want the beginning and the end, I can use YouTube's video editor on that end of things, which would be cool.
Yep.
If I was going to save it. I don't think I'm saving this. This is just kind of like a test. I'm actually going to start a new one because I think I screwed up the first one. Here's how I screwed up the first one. Just so you know, I invited people. But I invited like my circles, and then I went back and invited my extended circles. But on my timeline, it was showing up 3 times. So I just deleted the earlier 2, thinking that other people could see three things of the same thing, and it wasn't clear that it was just one that was being broadcast. Does that make sense?
There's always only one broadcast.
Okay, but does it show up as 3 entries on everybody's screen, or is that just on my?
For every time, same as normal Hangout. Whenever you do an invite, it posts another invite and another post to whatever circle you posted it to.
Oh,
right.
So if you're potentially in my circles and extended circles, would it be showing up 3 times?
If you were, yes.
That's seemingly it's an issue, especially if it's the same content. And I'm sure there's a reason that happens. But
yeah, so every time you do an invite, we initiate another one of these things. But when you do a broadcast, then that every action essentially is a post. Like think about that invite as posts.
But if I want to add another circle to it, I understand it creates another post. But for the people who are in the circles, they could potentially see 3 or 4.
Right. We don't have a way of like say modifying a previous one and adding a whole bunch of people to it.
It would just be a suggestion because it was confusing to me. I didn't really know.
Right.
Everything seems to be going fine, minus a thing. And I was even saying earlier, if I was saving the recording, you could see it. It would be nice actually, instead of just recording and sending it to my YouTube channel, potentially saving it just to my Google Plus account, because there's some broadcasts that I would want to save to YouTube, and some that I would want to just save onto Google Plus. I mean, I don't know really if there's a clarifying difference for the way that I use YouTube as a partner. But like there's some conversations that may be worth sharing just in the Google Plus capacity, and some that I would send out on a broadcast.
Yeah, we decided to put it in YouTube because that gives you a whole bunch of additional tools like the editing and all that sort of stuff. And then you can pull it down and put it wherever you want. Then.
How would you download it effectively from the back end?
Yeah.
Okay. The only one of the big glaring omissions that I see, because I can't and I think this is smart. After I thought about it, I can't publicly invite the public to the podcast. That's fine, and I understand why. Minus one thing. In order to see chat, in order to see what they're saying, I have to go to a separate page and hit refresh to see the comments. So if I could get, and I guess there's a limit on how many comments people can have in a thread.
Yeah,
so it would be nice to have that velocity from within the Hangout window. So I've got the private group chat of the people who are in the Hangout, but also potentially a split with the people who are watching the broadcast to watch that chat as well.
Yeah. No, I think that there are a whole lot of interesting things that you may want to have in like a broadcaster's panel inside there. Like you may want to see exactly what everyone else is seeing at the time they're seeing it. So you might want to see the live feed there, as well as questions and all that sort of stuff.
Q&A, polling, that kind of thing would be, well, specifically because I know people are watching, but the only way I can verify that is by looking at the thread. And they may have questions, but they may not know that things are as dynamic as they could be.
Yeah.
The other thing, so like I've got the QR code in here.
Yeah.
Right there. So people who are watching can theoretically take that and take action on that QR code so long as the quality is there. That may be something that would be nice, just as easily as I can overlay a reindeer. Oh, I'm a male reindeer now. I think. Can't really tell. The antlers seem to be giving it away. Although the size of one's antlers and the amount of horns is not directly proportional. Having those kind of overlays would be nice as well, to be able to have an action item and I'll go into this because I know we've got another thread going where you're talking about other things that are possibilities with broadcast. It doesn't have to be in this particular conversation,
Right.
but these are the types of things that as a live broadcaster could be is very, very handy. That's and I'm using it, by the way, for that.
One of the things that one of the things you think about is like what you think about is that when you think about those broadcasts, there are as you think about broadcast, you can think about moving more towards like the professional broadcasts, the broadcasting for like big public ones, and you can also think about the more home individual broadcasts, the teachers or like reaching a club and that sort of thing, and they have different requirements, and we'd love to serve them all, but I think that one of the things that we're very, very interested in is how do we enable this for everyone, right? Like what can we do in order to allow everyone to amplify their voice, and you can enable things like the Occupy Wall Street sort of thing, and a bunch of the things that like a radio broadcaster or a TV broadcaster might want aren't the same things as what like someone at home may want.
Sometimes it's scheduling. I think that would be the only other thing. YouTube scheduling, by the way, is very broken right now.
Yeah.
Those are different partner support threads that I've got going on.
Yeah.
I'm always that edge case.
Yeah.
There's certainly, we use, for Locker Gnome, we use GoToMeeting for a lot of different, for our morning meetings, because we don't necessarily need webcams to broadcast. It's just a way to kind of coalesce, with relative ease. The only thing that I would almost suggest doing is making it easy for invites, making it easier, because you're asking what's going to remove the friction for a lot of classrooms or whatever, making it easier for me as the broadcaster to send the link to a specific person, and anybody who has that URL can join. So kind of like the way Google Docs gives you the option to share.
Well, that's how it is right now.
Oh, so if I sent this link to other people, they could join?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Well, that wasn't very clear to me. I thought it was just, okay, well, apparently that was easier than I thought. Never mind.
The hidden invite is sort of a convenience, so you can put them on there and it will send it directly, and then on the back end it'll do notifications and all that sort of stuff. But if you want to just grab the URL and throw it to someone, you can certainly do that.
Interesting. Okay. So then theoretically, I could set up at this point, what I can do is share and do this kind of a do-over, if you will. My circles, share. That's funny. When I shared the URL, it said I wasn't logged in. You are currently not logged into Google Talk. Sign in. It's the automatic.
Yeah. So we have a bug right now. If you share the live post, it will turn into essentially an after post. It will say like Chris hung out with instead of. So you'd have to actually grab the URL and send them the URL itself.
Okay. Oh, so wait. So I shared it right now with my circles as a separate post, a limited post. Is that going to just a link?
You take a look at that.
Someone joined.
So the link is fine, right? So yeah, someone's going to join.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was curious. Okay, so then the people who are within my circles who are watching would be able to join.
Yep.
Yeah, it other than a couple of different things that are a little weird. Another thing I may want to do, is pause the broadcast.
Yeah.
And it's just end.
Right. Or at least like even when you end, you don't want to get kicked out.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing. Get kicked out.
Yeah. Sometimes people want have the after party.
And sometimes I just want, I may mute someone. I don't want to necessarily block them. I just want to kick them from the session. Or kick them out. Or set a timer. So, granted, these are edge cases. Like in terms of a public broadcast, if I want to just say, everybody has 5 minutes to be in here, and then you're kicked out, automatically, kind of like this round robin type of thing, at least gives people who are watching that would have a chance to join, but can't, in terms of joining the conversation. The things that I'm thinking like a broadcaster, but as well, I might use it for family reasons or whatever. Scheduling would be the next thing that would be helpful, especially if there's a topic of conversation that could be directed. And then, of course, integrating a lot of the chatter that happens outside this box.
The room itself.
Yes, the room, or whatever this is.
Right.
No, the first time I saw Hangouts, you guys are doing now exactly what I wanted, for a first step. I was really, in fact, a lot of us were, kind of hackneyed approach of like recording it. And I did a couple of those videos onto YouTube, but it's nice to know that you're broadcasting directly to it as an option when there are topics of conversation. That would be my next wish for recording. Instead of recording en masse, to be able to start a recording and then end a recording and then have a separate video directly to YouTube. And it would be helpful for a lot of different reasons. Because instead of broadcasting live hour-long hangout, there may be several topics of conversation or kind of random banter. It's like what I do now, and I'm not saying this is everybody's use case, just take it for whatever it's worth. Being able to stop and start specific recordings is helpful. So when I do a live episode on YouTube, I'll use Wirecast to broadcast out, and that will be broadcast and recorded in one full long chunk that people do watch even after it's been encoded by YouTube. But then I will individually through Wirecast, when I'm ready to record a new segment or introduce a new segment, I'll basically prepare everybody watching. I'll press record. I'll do my thing. I'll press stop recording, and I've got a separate video.
Mm-hmm.
And so potentially out of one broadcast, there could be several topics. There could be a lot of dry stuff that you're just kind of getting the ball rolling. You're waiting for everybody to join in. A lot of potentially wasted breath when if you want to watch the recording after the fact. All you want is the meat or the topic at hand. So it just maybe for the recording aspects of it, it may be far more interesting to be able to pause and then start and stop individual recordings as pushed directly to YouTube, and then you can decide there how they're staged, again, privately. But this would also stop, like let's say you're doing a hangout and someone jumps in and starts playing music from Universal, and then suddenly, I violated without, realize, I didn't get on something soon enough, and then my whole YouTube account is revoked. If I recorded it, the whole thing in one chunk, or if I missed something, it would just be easier to...
Yeah, so I guess our philosophy of that is just record the whole thing, and then go and edit and pull out the parts you want afterwards. But if someone hops in there and does it and does something wonky like that, hit the block button immediately, and that stops them. That cuts them off.
Oh, sure. And I did that actually one time. Although it took a few seconds for it to catch up. I hit block and nothing happened. I'm like, so I did it again, but it already blocked.
Yeah, it takes a sec, but then it'll block from our server side as well.
Yeah, I noticed that. That was very nice to have. Is there a reason or a technical reason why you wouldn't record like on demand rather than recording the whole thing? I understand that I've got one chunk, but out of that one chunk, for me to take the time and edit them afterwards, even if I had two recordings, I would have to do twice the amount of work versus knowing that I wanted to record a certain segment as a segment and then move on to the next one.
I think a lot of it is sort of like, as I said before, the audience that we're aiming at, like people like really tuning it and hitting record and not hitting record. It's more likely for the audience to then sort of say, oh, I missed it, or I forgot to turn it back on, or something like that. And
really?
Mistake. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like people, like even today, I had someone go on and do the whole broadcast, and then at the end they say, oh, I forgot to hit record, or I hit it.
So here's a suggestion then: make it a toggle, make it a hidden toggle, make it record by default, or a toggle for a broadcaster to record individual segments.
It might be what we end up doing. In order, like for us, just to get things out, we have a philosophy of simplicity. And
trust me, I'm grateful for what you've done. Like this is, even from the first, hangout that we had done, I was really, I had a feeling where this was going to go. And something, of course, I'm thinking, well, what would be my use case? What would be the easiest way to do something that fits into what happens now or would potentially, happen in the future? And that was before I was doing YouTube Live every day.
That's cool.
Not counting the other sponsorship conversations. That's a completely different ball of wax, but there certainly, I think, are plenty of them happening, or plenty of opportunities specifically with the public live broadcasts that anybody who might be a quote unquote broadcaster would certainly, a content producer would certainly be inclined to look for.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I was just sorry. I was just looking at the comments as they were kind of scrolling by. It's difficult to know. It's difficult to know how many people as a broadcaster, how many people are actually watching this. Is it 10, 20? Even YouTube Live doesn't do a very good job.
Yeah, that's true.
Showing And so I base it on how many likes, how many plus ones, and it's a general gauge, because that also helps like during a broadcast to know whether or not what you're talking about is even interesting to the people who are watching the broadcast. But I'm always thinking of that as a content producer, like, is this interesting enough to save?
Yeah. When we're piggybacking off the YouTube Live infrastructure, it doesn't make sense for us to replicate the whole thing. So as they improve their tools, then this will improve as well.
Well, I think it's, there's a lot of, having used YouTube Live, this is certainly easier to broadcast through Google Plus than it is to do through YouTube Live.
With the Wirecast and the RTMP streams and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's a pain, but the benefit for the scenario that I'm doing, I can broadcast live and keep that long chunk and then break up into individual segments, so that someone who doesn't want to sit through an hour-long show, which effectively is what a broadcast can be, they just want to watch a bit in a piece. The only easy way of doing that is recording locally and then uploading segments individually after things have gone live.
Yeah.
But it is fantastically easier. Another question, since you are on YouTube Live, is there at some point going to be a tie-in so that when I'm broadcasting here, the people who visit my YouTube subscribe page can watch?
That's a good question. One that we're sort of debating, and that one definitely goes to the as I said, the separation between those who are more on the professional side versus the every individual side. So that would be more of a priority question. And right now, our goal is to allow every single person to have the ability to broadcast themselves.
Oh, so you are going to do that?
That's our goal.
Really?
That is our goal. It's a hairy one. It's not all technical. It's a lot of legal, and there's a lot of sort of design sort of issues. But yeah, that's what I want to do.
I'd imagine it would be more legal than anything.
No, there's a lot of design aspects as well, right? Like this thing of like not being able to open to public, or how do you control that? Like, is one of the simple things that you got to think about, right? There are like content protection things that we got to work through, and so a lot of that can be done by technology, flagging for abuse, like community feedback, publisher feedback, like all those sort of things we can think about and have solutions for.
Well, the idea, circling back to something you said earlier, the idea of taking like a scheduling kind of thing, and back when I first got on Ustream, and this is before I think I gave you the disclaimer. I sit on an advisory board for them, but it's like I told them this is what I want, this is what I'm looking for as a content producer. I have all these people who are in my community who create good content, and it becomes this community, and we build upon our knowledge together. But I can't be doing something 24/7. And it's kind of the idea of I can't be in a Hangout, but that doesn't mean my community can't connect around me in some way, shape, or form. So you're kind of having that a scheduling or the ability to plug in again, thinking content. I admit it. I wear the publisher cap. I have no problem saying that I create content. Having like a schedule of events of some sort. So like, at 2 p.m. I go live, and then at 3 p.m. it's the keeping your lips clean with Burt's Bees hour. I don't know what, or at 4 p.m. And so you get the idea of scheduling and potentially virality around watching content that is interesting and sharing content that is interesting and potentially being that content. So at 6 o'clock, Daria is going to be live in my channel. At 7 o'clock, this is what's going to happen. Then people could effectively.
I think scheduling is a broadly applicable thing. Like, a teacher wants to have office hours, and that's a reasonable thing to do. So I think in general, broadcast. I think you turn around when you broadcast. Many other broadcasts are around like having a whole bunch of people come and see, and so you'll have a bigger audience if they have some predictability about when they can come and see. So scheduling just makes sense across the board.
Someone on Twitter says, ironically, because I tweeted it out so that if people wanted to look, they could. Luna Tikio says live broadcast should have a A0169 disclaimer under where it says G+. I'm not exactly sure what that disclaimer is, other than it's possibly broadcasting live, and your legal team has probably already figured that out.
What is that?
It's A0169. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Kevin just posted one of the. Yeah, he posted the tweet in the channel. Yeah, the only other thing I gotta tell you, the YouTube are people, and you know, are people really using the YouTube share feature within Hangouts?
Oh, you mean like into YouTube, hit share, and then where you have Hangouts?
Yeah.
I can't comment on that.
Okay, because every time someone tries to share a YouTube video within a broadcast, I close it because I've been burned one too many times. And granted, that may be because I go public, but it's probably then definitely more for the use case of a very private group of people that want to share a YouTube video together.
Share YouTube video, or like I've done this with friends where we're essentially sharing songs that we like with each other. Like have you heard this one? And we play it, and it's kind of fun to do it. And also, we've watched, I watched the Dalai Lama broadcast in a Hangouts, with other people, so we kind of watched it together.
Oh, so you can watch a YouTube live broadcast in a Hangout?
Yeah, you grab the URL and paste it in, then you can watch it.
Huh.
That would be good if you covering some live event, like Sony released this or someone released that.
Oh yeah, it's like you get together with your friends to watch TV, right? Watching TV.
Not really. I'm the only one apparently who doesn't have friends that I want to interact with on a daily basis.
I love watching especially sports. I love watching sports with friends.
Yeah.
And
yeah, but as long as it's being officially broadcast, that's where the legalities.
But so you going to YouTube, YouTube Live, we take care of that on our side, right?
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. That was not apparent to me. Then again, if I'm broadcasting live, I'm not thinking, oh, I need to join a Hangout. Talk about this live. But I always thought it was interesting to potentially have, once there's a topic, and I may end up doing this weekly, like a broadcast that's, I don't know if I could do it daily. I couldn't keep up with the production schedule, or couldn't find enough voices who wanted to talk about it. But if there was a topic that people could coalesce around and have a conversation about, recording that kind of broadcast in an hour-long form makes sense, and broadcasting something like that makes sense. But you almost need to have a vetted peanut gallery. I know the people that have joined, I know them by name, and certainly by some of the things that they've done in the community. But unless I know that, geez.
Oh, he's gone.
Oh.
But he can watch the live
he's back.
broadcast.
He's back.
Of course, I told you. He has the power to interrupt any he can just pop in and then pop out. It doesn't matter. It's the key.
All hail.
You are now a proper noun. No, I was just saying, having being able to decide a peanut gallery of people that, and again, this is where scheduling kind of comes in to play. Of I would like to do a hangout about X on Y date. Who wants, basically who can do it, and then have it kind of like a sign-up form of sorts. And right now it's kind of hackneyed. It's kind of as you put it together. I don't know. It's an edge case, but for larger content broadcasts, it would be interesting. If there's something scheduled, like I said, I'm thinking through the process, how could I do this? Not every day. I think that would be a little insane without a producer to line a lot of the stuff up. Once a week, the Google Live broadcast at this point with a set of people that around a particular topic, and then recording it.
Yep. I think there's a lot that we have yet to do.
Well, like I said, I think, for what you guys are doing, and I don't know, you probably haven't caught a lot of the commentary because there's a lot going on, but whereas most people seem to be inclined to compare what you're doing with Google Plus to Facebook, I think it's closer to Blogger than it is Facebook. I've said this a few times, but it is far closer to Blogger than it is to Facebook. And whether that's good or bad, you can interpret. But it just seems to be a completely different tool set, a great tool set, as a matter of fact. But for content velocity, it just seems to be a great place to have that nexus point, that coming together of people and connections and ideas and thoughts and information. Facebook isn't that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I believe that. I have a huge problem on Facebook that if I share something, I expect the people who are following me or like something are going to see it, but that's not always the case.
Right.
They have a different EdgeRank algorithm, and I think Google Plus kind of changed this a bit with their homepage or whatnot, but it was the case when I had a Facebook, a quote-unquote fan page, whatever they were calling it. It got some velocity, but it's moving over to a Facebook, like my personal page, I get so much more engagement. And like if I post something, far more people see it when it was on the personal page when they subscribe to it versus liking my public page before. They just kind of merged into one.
Yeah.
So Google Plus, I guess, allows more engagement per user. They don't necessarily limit. If you want to circle someone, and I know I'm prolific. And people have complained about that, but I'm like, hey, just uncircle or follow more people. I don't know what to tell you. You'd rather, trust me, in my opinion, Google Plus would rather have people sharing more than not enough.
True.
So I'll help you along in that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's very reminiscent of FriendFeed, but I could probably pull the video for you. Like one of my favorite features had been the Hangouts, but because it was like a black hole up until the point where I could broadcast or potentially record it, I would be spending a lot of time connecting with just 8 people, and that's fine for some people, and that's their social time. But like, I got a lot of stuff that I got to do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And I'm always thinking content. What's going to be the conversations that I have here? If people couldn't even watch the broadcast, I would feel like they were missing out on something. As a content producer, that's how how I'm thinking. Like they're missing out on really good conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and people someone says Carlos Castro says amazing, simply amazing. Yeah, it's cool, dude. I love this. Awesome, looks great. I mean, there's really good feedback when people can watch the live broadcasting features. Not that it's new. Broadcasting's not new. We all know that. But it's the ability to pull everybody else in and create this conversation and coalesce around something, and then letting other people kind of sit in like a fly on the wall. That to me is really incredibly interesting.
Yeah, like we don't claim a lot of this is completely new, and we have some innovations that. But at least when I think about Hangout, is like the way you package it, right? The way you put it together, and the way you kind of make it. Hopefully, as much as you can, take the technology out of the way, right?
Yeah, no, like I said, the workflow that I have to go through to set up a broadcast on YouTube. I mean, I've got it down to the point where I can do it in like 5 minutes. Like there's the camera here. That's the camera that I use to broadcast live on YouTube. I mean, granted, it's a higher quality camera than just this webcam at this point, but I don't need much. What did we get? Oh man, you saw it. You didn't. Sorry, Santa delivered some presents early for my girlfriend, and she knows what's coming.
Oh no.
You weren't supposed to know this was coming. This may be for Pixie. Or it's like I tweeted out the other day, dude, Sephora is like a Lego store for girls. Yeah, so you really didn't know. Damn it.
Wait one. Well, he's out. Yep, he's back.
See, okay, hang on. I'll wait till Chi is officially back in. Oh no, he's gone. But then he's in. See, it should be people. I want to give people priority access in a Hangout. And again, I know I'm an Edge user, but if I say, hey, if Chi wants to join, I want Chi to always be able to join.
And also, like,
I was going to suggest to him something like making people like managers or
moderators. Yes,
moderators, managers.
Yes.
And then also setting like
Chris, there's an easy way you can set up a list of people that are always able to join.
How can you set up a list of people that are always able to join though, other than a circle?
just create a circle. Well,
yeah, but the problem is that if I say Chi always is going to outrank everybody else. If Chi wants to join my Hangout, I want to always give him priority versus somebody else. So to be able to flag him as a kind of a special priority, I mean, I can't do that effectively the way the circles work, certainly with Hangouts. Or, as what Rich was saying, if I wanted to assign moderators or potentially people who would have the similar ability to me as the talent or the person leading the broadcast, as someone who could also lead a broadcast within my framework, and again, this stretches well beyond the normal use case, to be able to assign Kevin or Creighton or, certain people as like, super users, if you will, or super moderators or moderators in general. Most community constructs have that.
And also says something like the 5-minute limit session you said earlier, to put those onto there to exclude them.
Right.
The challenge for us is like when you think about these broadcast scenarios, it's not a normal social hangout, right? And
yes, for sure.
if you think about the thousands and thousands and thousands of hangouts that happen like all the time, like the tiny percentage are this, and the vast majority are the social hangouts. And one of the things I've been really religious about is like I don't want to introduce artificial hierarchy power constructs into the social setting, because that sort of changes the dynamics of social settings. And like our job is to sort of promote the natural social rules.
Well,
right?
That happens with community. So community always grows its own leaders. So, I can tell you, like Kevin or Creighton or even Rich to a degree, Kevin helps a lot on LockerGnome.net, and LockerGnome.net is basically like a Q&A site. It's a community, and in the beginning it was a handful of questions and answers that people were asking. But I can't watch everything. I'm an administrator, but I can't watch everything. I can't do everything. But Kevin was, he's always active and always doing stuff. I said, hey, do you want me to grant you these special powers that if someone comes along and does something they shouldn't do, you either, you can let me know or you can take care of it yourself. And so that's not artificial. That's still organic. And I think you would have that anyway, because if a user only wanted to invite certain people to broadcast to, in a way, that is as artificial as potentially flagging one user as
sure. Like, so it's normal to initially have like a productivity social like setting, right? A productivity setting, and in broadcast I would categorize as something that's kind of in the productivity setting, as opposed to the pure social shoot the breeze, like you go out to the bar, that sort of thing, right? And in those cases, there's a natural sort of hierarchy among people, like people more dominant than others. But there isn't necessarily the formal, like, okay, I'm going to kick you out sort of construct. And it's certainly not there by, like, whoever happens to be there first, which is the construct of a lot of these chat rooms, where whoever happens to start the chat room or gets the superpowers, right?
But they're coalescing around that individual or that brand that's hosting the Hangout. That was
right. So if we had some way of sort of identifying that organically, maybe.
But that's down to the individual. That's the only organic possibility, is to flag it an individual. Let one individual.
Right. The question is then, how do we identify that individual?
You don't. You give the user the ability to identify that individual. That's the only way it's going to be organic. In terms of the how, I have to think about it a bit more. But
yeah. So like, if you think about it from any other constructs out there right now, it's not the individual who, or even the group who identifies. It's sort of whoever gets there first, which is not the same as social settings. Like, so if you think about a gaming world, whoever sort of gets there first and initiates it, they get the moderator powers.
But that's frustrating. That's a little bass-ackwards, because the first person who jumps in would be someone that you would never grant any kind of power.
Exactly. So which is why, like, in Hangouts, the way that we're trying to do is we're trying to promote social rules to come forward.
But yeah, I'm saying that's fine to encourage that, but ultimately the individual who starts the Hangout, like me, would be responsible to identify who would, if like I said, if I always wanted you to join, if I was doing a Hangout, I would give you priority potentially over somebody else. Even in
a broadcast one, it would, but I don't. So I was to say, like, I would put broadcasts and like business meetings in a whole separate category, in the sort of the pure social ones, which is by far the vast majority of all Hangouts that happen.
Okay, so let me give you some practical tips then, or suggestions. This is even from the chat, not the chat internal, but the comment stream. A full screen button.
Yeah, I saw that.
And that one, and the ability to, and this is more for me in a variety of Hangouts, automatic leveling. Like, not just my voice, but everybody's across the board, and like level because some people don't know how to set up a microphone.
Server-side normalization?
Yeah, you need massive normalization.
Yeah, so we actually have some of that, but it can be dramatically improved. I mean, we call it auto gain control, right?
Yeah, that's great.
So it does that, and if you pay attention carefully, when someone comes in and starts speaking kind of softly, like it'll ramp that up. But we don't do as good a job of sort of pulling people back.
Right. and it's been the case where, and I don't know if this has changed in the new version, but like if I muted Creighton, let's say, he could unmute himself. And I think playing around, that's fine, but like the problem is, like, there's probably a reason I muted somebody. Either because their microphone was off, there's a dishwasher going on in the background, and this is, again, goes back to the recording capabilities. Something happens in the live recording, it's like, this really messes it up.
Well, so I would agree with you in the structured sort of setting, like a moderator setting, a meeting setting, broadcaster setting. In the pure social one, having one person sort of force someone else to be muted is like sending someone to timeout,
Or, here's an idea, dude. So, because you can only, I guess there's a limitation, potentially server-side limitation that, 10 people in a Hangout?
It's not a server-side limitation.
Oh, local limitation?
Nope, social limitation.
So, okay, social limitation. Someone's watching the feed, and again, this may be a broadcaster thing, or education. Potentially, let's move this into the educational realm.
So, I'd separate between like social versus structured, right?
Okay.
I think a lot of what you're asking for, and it's very reasonable, is around the structured productivity use cases, which I put in, like the teacher, the business meeting, the broadcaster, that sort of thing.
Sure.
And I agree with her, like moderation, hierarchy, and controls are much more appropriate and useful. Very appropriate in that setting and needed in many of those.
But yeah, social, it wouldn't make much sense for this suggestion, but like for the people who are watching, like the public, if they wanted to, and this is maybe falling into the moderator category, but you could effectively create, I mean, you are creating a broadcast, this is a broadcast tool, period. That's what it is.
It is now. That's what we released this week. Yeah.
Right. So I'm thinking of it, again, like this. So if someone's watching, let's say, hang on, I'm just scrolling down for a username who's not in the chat or can't join, like Jenford. He wants to ask me a question, or he has something to submit. He can't join the Hangout directly, but if he could press a button and then record a little video on his webcam, and then potentially become a part of the broadcast without actually joining it, it would be useful. If and only if, again, broadcaster.
You could preview it and like.
Yeah, but someone has to be assigned as a line producer.
Right. So like this is what I said before around like when you think about broadcasting, you have the professional broadcasting, and then you have like teachers having office hours broadcasting. And like if you have the professional, you want more than just that. You want someone who actually is controlling the whole thing, like maybe throwing cut screens and that sort of stuff. And you want a communication tools between like a private channel between you and that person. To like, it would
be amazing if I could assign any one of these in the peanut gallery as, okay, you're the line producer. When a video comes in, a video submission from a user, suddenly I'm talking blah 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 blah. Okay, so what's the next question? And then we play a video, and suddenly we got a TV show.
And you also want that person to essentially be in the room but invisible. So if someone's acting up or whatever, they're the one who mutes them, and you don't have to do that, right?
Right.
Because you don't want to be multitasking.
Well, that's what I do every day.
but ideally, you want someone else taking care of that. You want someone auditing that. If someone's there and you're talking, you're distracted, and someone there is like pulling up pictures or whatever that you don't want to do it, like you want someone else policing the audience, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of so maybe it's more of a broadcast thing, but even like chat rooms, like social chat rooms have moderators.
Yeah.
Like I could not do my the IRC room that I'm associated with, it wouldn't exist if moderators didn't exist. And what I have is and I think you probably looked at it. It's got the IRC chat integrated inside as well as the latest tweets, so that people who are watching the broadcast feel like they're kind of a part of it, even if they can't be in it. But yeah, taking it to the next level of the Q&A stuff for education, or broadcasting, or just topics of conversation. I mean, that would just be, boy, no one. To my knowledge, nobody's pulled that off. It would be awesome to be able to take user questions, user-submitted questions through a producer. I mean, granted, that may be a super professional term for it, but a gatekeeper for that information. Is this going to be valid? Someone asks the question, and they're a part of the show that is then recorded. Like, television stations can't do that dynamically, not with any degree of ease, and that's effectively what we're doing. This is what I do every day on YouTube. I do a TV show, minus an actual TV. I'm the actor, the director, the producer, and then I take what's given to me and basically try to keep the whole thing moving forward.
As you can tell, these are things that we've thought about and argued about and all that sort of stuff. And at the end of the day, it comes down to how quickly can we write code. Because our team is actually smaller than most people realize or can imagine.
Keep writing code.
And it's about prioritizing, right?
Well, like I said, I'm very appreciative of the tool because for a lot of different reasons. But this latest release, I was just like, wow, okay, this is getting really, it's starting to get really, really interesting.
Okay, cool. Well, I should head out.
Yeah, sure, dude. I'll follow.
Good to talk to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. At a later point about the other things. So.
Just down the road.
Cool. Yeah.